Hello, hello, hello. What is it? Merry Christmas Eve. Okay, Merry Christmas Eve to everybody in the building. Girl, we got some things to talk about today. But before we get into all of that, I want to say congratulations to Miss Parker, and Purple Peach. They were the winners of the ugly Christmas sweater contest last night over around down to the Bayou Conversations page. Y'all, I had a good time with each and every one of y'all last night. Thank you to everybody who showed up. Thank you to my judges, Mr. Carruthers, Dolly's Game, and Brianna Simone. Thank you to all of the participants, Purple Peach, there was Miss Parker. J Dunn participated. XO, my official DJ in the den, she participated. We had my moderator, Jess Sabrel, in the contest. And we had Miss Tracy World join the contest. And it was a good time had by all. So congratulations to Miss Parker. Happy birthday to Miss Parker, because today is her birthday. So can y'all please put some happy birthdays to Miss Parker inside of the chat today? And Purple Peach also, she won last night. It was so good to see everybody come out and have a good time last night. I know at first I was kind of rocky about it. I was going through my own personal dilemmas and things of that nature. And you guys encouraged me to come and do the party anyway. And it was actually a good event. So I thank each and every one of you who decided to show up yesterday, and participate. It don't matter if you joined the contest or not, just your presence alone was felt, and I appreciate you guys. And I am wishing each and every one of my den mates love things, whichever category you fall under. Girl, I want to wish y'all a happy holidays. I hope you all have as much love, happiness, and joy that your heart can handle. It was a wonderful time, and I thank you for allowing me to be a part of your little holiday festivities. So, thank you again. Okay. Now, let me speak because we ain't got no whole lot of people in here that way I can speak to y'all. Uh, Happy holidays, Far From Average. January Capricorn, the official DJ of the Den Mix XO is in the building. Hello, happy holidays. Happy holidays, Latasha, Denise, Miss Jean. Happy holidays. Berber, Trina, Pretty Chocolate Girl, Tracy. Hey, Tracy. PDP, Sassy Queen. BA Superstar. Berber, I think I said you. I think I said Trina B. Prayed up. I said my P to P up in here. Renee Jr. and Miss Gerald and Sassy Francis. Brianna Simone Pettyville. The Bushes. Everybody, happy holidays to you all. Okay, happy holidays to you all. Now, girl, I spoke to y'all in brief. Girl, shut up. Now, this movie right here, when I first was told about it a couple of days ago in the middle of one of my lives, I said, "What happy holidays, Taylor?" I said, "What kind of shit is this?" Y'all know I couldn't get that name or that title right. Merry Christmas, Angie. I couldn't get that title right. I kept saying, "Don't answer my phone. Who phone is it?" I said all kinds of shit to the point where Duchess Kelly Love had to come and send me the screenshot. And happy holidays to you, Duchess Kelly Love. If you're not in the building, happy holidays to you if you catch the replay. Happy holidays, Liz, that Virgo. Where was you last night, Liz? I was looking for you. But anyway, when they told me about this movie, I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. I'm gonna go on over here to the Netflix because I pay for the shit, and I'm gonna watch it. Right? I said I'm gonna watch this movie, and then we'll come back and we'll have a conversation. You was in the bushes, okay, boo. I said we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about this shit. Now, when I watched episode one of the 3-part episode thing, I said, bitch, this is some crazy shit. Who in the fuck will get caught up in this? I said, now how am I gonna be able to bring this to life for the people of the YouTube? And then my spidey senses kicked in and said, girl, you gonna do it like you used to do all your reviews, the things that made you known on the YouTube street. So we're gonna take this back to the old school, and bitch, I'm gonna tell you a story. How about that? I'm gonna tell you a story, and in telling this story, I'm gonna tell you exactly what the hell happened, and it's up to you. Hey there, happy holidays, Harley Q, honey. It's up to you if you choose to go and watch it, okay? Upon first watching episode one of Don't Pick Up the Phone, I said, well, this is some white collar bullshit. Baby, the pink Buddhist was running rampant within this story here. What the hell? What are they doing, child? What are they doing? But, child, I never had any clue. And I try to be up on, especially anything related to crime. It ain't too many crimes that was committed that became, any form of national headline that get past me, girl. It don't get past me. You understand what I'm saying? But girl, this got past me. Okay. I had no clue that something like this had ever occurred. So with episode one, we start off with it's either a news reporter doing a report or a narrator starting with this man that calls into fast food restaurants posing as a police officer, and the person claims that a customer had been in that establishment earlier and had some items stole from them, namely money, right? Namely money. So they get this manager on the phone, right? We start off in Mount Washington, Kentucky, down to the McDonald's, right? A call comes in late in the evening while business is still kind of busy. And when the call comes in, the assistant manager, I believe her name was Donna Summers. That alone pissed me off. Because we all know Donna Summers, the late great Donna Summers, probably would have never been caught up in no foolishness like this. Okay? Mm. So Donna picks up the phone down to the McDonald's. She's the assistant manager on duty that night. And there is a man on the other end who has identified themselves as a member of that local police department. He tells her that, there is a there was a customer in there who had some money stolen from them, and it is believed that one of her employees is the culprit. Now, the imposter sounds, and you will hear me refer to him throughout this review as the imposter or the imposter cop, just to be clear. This imposter sounds very clear, well spoken, and comes across as authentic to the point where Donna believes him. He gives her a very basic, generic description of said person, right? Child. Immediately she says, okay, I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna go and pull this girl off the line and bring her in here to actually find out what's going on here. Then in the review, we meet Mr. Buddy Stump. I will be speaking a lot about Mr. Stump. He is now a retired detective, but at the time of this incident in Washington, Kentucky, he was 3 weeks into his promotion as a detective. Okay. He's only 3 weeks into it. And he received a call from the chief of police saying that he needed to get on down there to that McDonald's because this case was bizarre, but the chief couldn't really explain it, but he requested him to come, and come he did. This all took place, family, on April the 9th, 2004. Detective Stump arrives at the scenes. You got sirens wailing everywhere. He walks into the McDonald's and they still doing hella business, and he goes to the back. But as he is going to the back, the people are upset. He can see the tensions are high. Folks running around like they got like chickens with their heads cut off. Girl, it was just bad. Then he saw the victim, who of course was very upset, and the managers were upset as well. So they began to try to explain what had happened. But what they saying not making a lot of sense to Detective Stump. So then the officer tells him, well, it's all caught here on video. It is all caught here on video. And at that point, he wants to see the video footage. Now, mind you, this video footage has absolutely no sound to it whatsoever. It's like watching a silent movie, but very telling, okay? And we see this young lady, like I said, the assistant manager. This lady ain't young. This hoe was 51 years old. And she is on the phone with someone. Supposedly, it was that man who identified himself as the officer with the Mount Washington Police Department. And according to the imposter, he had, the restaurant manager on the phone along with a private representative, no, a corporate representative. He called her. He sounded crisp clear, like he is who he say he is. But he also is telling her that he has a corporate representative on the line as well. The the imposter says that one of the store employees has been accused of stealing a wallet from a customer who had been there previously, right? They gave the description, like I said, it was very, very generic. It could have been any damn body in white America in Mount Washington, Kentucky. Petite, brown hair. So Miss Summers says, oh, I think I know who you're talking about. I know somebody that works here. And per the video, Miss Louise Ogborn, who is 18 years old, comes into the office, and her and manager Summers are talking. Sad part was the girl was working there because her mama had recently lost her job due to some health issues, and Louise just wanted to work there to make a little extra money to help the family out. So she out of here working at the Mickey D's, and she ain't trying to get in no trouble. This girl was raised right. She respected adults and did what adults told her to do. So when someone accused her of stealing, it was quite upsetting to her and not something that she would do. Now the officer says to Manager Summers, we can either come arrest her, or if she is willing and you are willing to help out the police, you can perform a strip search of Louise right there at the McDonald's to see if she has any of our money. Louise, per the video, begins to empty out her pockets and sit the contains whatever it was in her pocket. She put that shit on the table so she could see it. Turns her pockets inside out, showing her assistant manager that ain't nothing going on. But then in the video, something else seriously occurred. Something occurs that kind of throw you off. You see another manager come in with a garbage bag, and he is placing the garbage bag up at the door where the window is and taping it up there so that no one would be able to see inside of the manager's office from the hallway. Now, according to Summers, the imposter sounded legit, calm, authoritative. So Summers actually is doing what this man on the phone, who she don't know, is telling her to do. Louise, despite protesting some and insisting on her innocence, begins to comply with what is being asked to her. Okay. She figured like at this point, let me go on and get it over with. And what does she comply with doing? Louise begins to take her clothes off till she is down to her underwear. Then, in per the video, you see this girl removing her underwear. She is removing her underwear and is now standing there on camera, butt, booty, naked. Okay? At this point, we are 1 hour into this phone call. And as Detective Stump watches this video, he is stunned. Child, I don't understand. We see this girl receive a apron. Y'all know what the McDonald's aprons look like. Y'all know what an apron in general looks like. They give this girl this apron and she's trying to cover up best she can with it. But the girl is naked in the manager's office of a McDonald's where she worked. Louise said she was simply embarrassed. But it don't stop there, honey. Girls and boys, it don't stop there. Okay? We then see them bag up this girl's belonging, all her clothes and everything. And instead of them just giving this girl her clothes to put back on, because at this point, you definitely can tell that this young girl ain't stole no damn money. At least it ain't on her persons. They bag up her money, and the imposter on the phone tells the manager to take her items and go take her car keys and go put Louise's clothes into her car and lock them up. And at that point, I'm like, what in the entire fuck is going on in this place? Poor Louise, she's stuck because she can't get out. In order for her to get out, if she wanted to just say, forget it, I ain't doing no more of this, they'll just have to show up at my mom and them house. She can't run through this restaurant because she would be butt booty naked. So she has to sit there per her words. She didn't know what was on the other side of that door. At this point, they playing a mind game with this girl. She don't know that first of all, if I go to this door, will there be a police there waiting to arrest me? Secondly, I'm naked as a jaybird, so I can't run through here. She is scared. And at this point, her only thing to do was simply obey. Maybe if I obey, maybe if I simply do what these people are asking me to do, maybe somehow I will be able to be spared and I can go home. Per the video, you can see she traumatized at this point. The girl grew up in a military home, highly disciplined. She ain't do nothing but school, church, Girl Scouts, and at this point, she's not able to compartmentalize what is really happening here. Who in the world would have ever thought something like this could be happening? Louise is traumatized. And it don't end there, y'all. It didn't end at her being traumatized like that. A man then enters this office who is not an employee. And I'm sure at that point she was even more so scared. Because who is this man? This man, this harassment now has been going on for hours. Manager Summers, she's still trying to run the business, which is very busy, and stopped at certain points wondering why is this taking so long. Every time she asked the man on the phone, the imposter cop, why is this taking so long, he always had an answer, and to her it seems plausible. So telling her stuff like, we on our way, we'll be at the restaurant soon, we don't have many officers working with us, so please just bear with us, yada yada yada. Summers accepted that, but said she needed to get back to work. So the imposter asked her a question, and here comes the part where the man enters the room. He asked her, "Do you have a man that you can trust? Do you know a man in your life, a brother, a husband, something like that, that can be trusted?" Now I'm thinking in the recesses of my mind as I'm watching this, why the hell? First of all, we now already went too far and beyond. But if you're gonna ask her to bring somebody into this situation, why must it be a man? Hmm. This whole ordeal seems to be unbelievable. But let's continue. The imposter asked if she had a husband, brother, anybody she trusted, and Louise, somebody that could come in there and watch Louise until the police arrive. And Summer says yes and brings in her fiance, Walter Nix. That is that unidentified man that I told you entered the room office, and Louise looked like she was even more so scared. So that's the guy that entered the manager's office, right? Summer gives him the phone when he arrives and leaves a naked and scared Louise in that office along with Walter. The imposter tells him to have Louise drop her apron. The imposter has Walter make Louise do jumping jacks. They make her run in place, all the activities to see if anything falls out that may have been hid. So now at this point, you got a naked, scared 18-year-old girl sitting in the office, butt booty naked. And not only is she humiliated, but you add to the humiliation by telling this girl, per the imposter's instructions, make her jump in place and make her do jumping jacks. Because if she's hidden any money, it'll fall out. At that point of the damn movie, I had to stop, pause, and text Duchess Kelly Love and ask, "What do you have me fucking watch? What do you have me watching?" Because I'm over it. I don't, I don't throw my eggnog legs with the 1800 or nothing. I just need him to tell me what the fuck is he got me watching, girl. Had me hitting the blunt harder and trying to breathe, right? Oh, it gets worse, D-Dot. We ain't nowhere near through. Sit back and listen to me. Follow me if you will. This child has now been in this office naked, jumping, doing jumping jacks, running in place, even standing in a chair. Mm-hmm. And Walt is sitting there going along with these imposters' orders like he void of understanding that this simply is not right. From time to time, Summers come back into the office unaware of what Louise is being made to do. Still not realizing that this is not normal and this is not right. Louise being worn down mentally and feeling just trying to do whatever she need to do. This girl is scared. She like, is this my last day on earth? I'm just trying to survive. Now let's get Walter Nix. Let's get into a little of this man's background, because I want you to understand these people who allowed this person, this unidentified person. Because a bitch, I can call you and tell you I'm Dolly Parton, bitch. Okay, I can tell you any damn thing. But Walter Nix is said to have been a good guy, a little league coach, an avid churchgoer, seemingly a good, wholesome man. People in the community trusted Walt. But with this imposter on the phone telling him to do everything and anything, somewhere in all of this, he lost all his moral fiber. As the video footage played on, Walt did more and more, including putting Louise across his lap and spanking her rather hard to the point where she had bruises on her buttocks. And this went on for some 20 odd minutes. Louise is in fear, and it didn't stop because then the imposter instructed for Walt to have Louise sit on his lap and give him a kiss to check for possible alcohol on her breath. I'm going to say it again because I know y'all can't believe it, bitch. I couldn't either. After he done beat her on her buttocks and bruised her, he done made her stand in a chair. He done made her do jumping jacks. He done made her run in place, all while butt booty naked. He now is being instructed to put this young girl in his lap and make her kiss him so that he can see if there's alcohol on her breath. What the fuck alcohol got to do with this? I thought we was checking for theft. But it didn't end there. Oh no, it did not end there. Then, after kissing her, making her run jumping jacks, making her run in place, stand up on the chair, beat her ass, kiss him, now he makes this man feel, and I don't know how he convinced him to do this part. He made this girl perform oral sex on him. I'm going to let that marinate for a minute. He made this girl have perform oral sex on this strange man. What kind of mind control did the imposter have over these people that they were literally committing a crime and doing so on camera? Why was this allowed to go on for hours? Where is this police? Who, by the way, I didn't tell y'all. Oh, the police department is a mile up the road. So you mean to tell me you can't get an officer if this was a legit call to come right down the road a mile down from the McDonald's? Why haven't the police arrived? How is this normal? Detective Stump couldn't believe what he was watching. He was wondering what was he going to do at this point. Walt has now realized that he has done too much. And he simply walks out of the office and leaves. He go home. A felony has definitely occurred. So Stump instructs officers to go to Walt address, pick that ass up, you know what I'm saying, and bring him down to the station. Because Walt is now just as complicit in this crime as the person on that phone. If you ask me, Walt and Donna Summers are more culpable because they knew better. Just because somebody called you on the phone and tell you that they I could call you and tell you I'm a Michelle Obama bitch. Don't mean that I am. And it don't mean that whatever I'm spewing out of my mouth, you're supposed to do it. That person on the phone, the imposter, can only ask you to do something. It's up to those who receive the call to actually go forth and commit the acts that this person who is imposing as a police officer is instructing them to do. It took an older gentleman after Walter walked out that room, out that office, who is a former custodian or a custodian at that place, to come in there, pick up the phone, listen to the imposter call bullshit, then tell Donna Summers this was not a real call. It was a hoax. And that's when she realized the whole ordeal was fake. How the fuck does it take another individual to come in and exercise common sense you should have had? At this point, Detective Stump has to sit down and take a victim statement. And that's when he realized he knew Louise. Because when he first came in, her head was down. Of course, she's visibly upset. But when she looked up, and he said, Louise. And she said, yes, that Detective Stump is me. Not only is Louise somebody he knows, she's his neighbor. Her father is his friend. And it's at that point this shit becomes personal. He becomes determined to find out who did this. And he was determined to make sure not only when he found out who did this, he gonna lock their ass up in the jail. He was what you call over it. Okay? That's how he felt. I ain't never seen nothing like this in my entire life. Nothing like this in my entire life. How? How does this happen? So he thinking at first, who could have done this? He thought perhaps it was a disgruntled ex-employee. He wanted to, maybe it was somebody that wanted to pull a prank on Louise. I need y'all to remember this is during the time when this happened was when payphones were still very much so in use and cell phones were just starting to be a thing. So he got to figure out where to start. As he's thinking about how he's going to deal with this story, how he gonna deal with trying where do I start in trying to investigate this? He decides to go on the internet and search McDonald's strip search and was amazed to find out that there were so many other cases where this very thing had occurred. Same MO. Taco Bell, Wendy's, Hardee's, McDonald's, various cities, various states. There were 73 cases at that point in 32 states. First call coming in 1994. And when this happened with Detective Stumps and Louise, it was now 2004. It became a nationwide investigation, but nobody was really trying to do anything. It was apparent the person who was doing this thought they could never be caught. Detective Stump needed to know more about this, so we go back to Blackfoot, Idaho, a small town, which is a target for this person because he knows people in smaller communities. They kind of have a belief system in the authorities. This person knew that most fast food workers in these smaller towns were young and impressionable. And that is where we meet Elizabeth, who back in 1999 was 16 years old and was working at a pizza place. On December the 16th, 1999, a call came into the manager's office from this imposter cop claiming that he was an officer from the Blackfoot Police Department and called and said a lady had called them and said she left her purse there and it was stolen. And inside of her purse was $50. The so-called person who had their purse stolen claimed like she knows that a server took it. $50 is a lot when you're making $2.80 an hour plus tips. But Elizabeth was so excited that she, to be working, she'd never think of taking someone else's belongings. However, she fit the basic description of whom the person stated was said to have been the person that stole the purse containing the $50. Elizabeth is called into the office with the manager. Elizabeth is adamant it was not her, but the officer was not allowing it, wasn't trying to hear that. So then comes the removal of clothes slowly, one item by item. A whole lot of talking in between, but they have convinced her to do a strip search yet again at this job. And a slow build up, very methodical. This person, the imposter, really was good at what they were doing because they had this manager wrapped up. As each item is being removed, as more conversations are being had, Elizabeth is getting more and more upset. But the imposter cared not. In fact, it seemed to anger him. The imposter had Elizabeth's manager describe her body parts at this point. You got this girl naked, and now you got the manager describing her body part. For what? Elizabeth then grabs the phone, wanting to know what any of that had to do with stealing of a purse of $50. At that point, one of Elizabeth's co-workers by the name of Derek comes in, and he can tell that something is wrong. He goes into the office to see the manager sweating, literally just sweating. And Elizabeth is getting strip searched. Derek asks, "What the fuck are you doing?" The manager said, "It's a cop on the phone. I'm doing a strip search for the police." Derek grabs the phone and asks, "Who is this on this phone?" Yeah, the imposter sounded real calm, real collected, and identified themselves as an officer of the law. So Derek was like, "Well, if you're an officer of the law, then you well know that you should have no one doing a strip search of a minor, especially a female," and said they needed to get the real cops there. And that's when the imposter hangs the phone up. Thank God for Derek, because the manager seemed to have been stupid as hell. Once again, it takes an outsider to come in and use common sense to stop these illegal acts. Elizabeth was grateful but outraged. Another female, young, impressionable, violated over a hoax. She didn't even feel police would care enough or see her as a priority. So now this is two cases. But we ain't through, girl. We ain't through. Because now the year is 2004, and we going to West Bridgewater, Massachusetts. At a Wendy's, it happened again. The imposter cop calls the establishment and convinces the manager to do illegal strip searches of employees. A young female manager was tricked into sexually assaulting a male employee, a server at the restaurant. Okay. So let's go back now to Mount Washington, Louisiana, to the McDonald's. When that situation happened with Louise at the McDonald's, an employee suggested, in order to try to trace this call, maybe you should try star 69. And it takes you back to the last caller. So that gave Detective Stump a number, but each time he called that number, he got a business signal. He called several times, same results. Now let's go back up to Bridgewater, West Bridgewater. We meet Detective Victor Flattery, getting the same results. They do a reverse toll, the numbers are fake. Detective Flattery calls AT&T, go through several people. Detective Stump calls, he's going through several people. They're trying to get a trace on this number. Finally, Detective Stump in Mount Washington reaches a lady that tells him that she thinks it may be one of their prepaid calling cards that was used to make these calls. He had no knowledge of calling cards and never worked a case involving one. So the next step is how to track a prepaid calling card. Up in West Bridge Water, Detective Flattery is now on the same track, how to trace them. So he calls the AT&T again, as well as, after sitting on the phone waiting 30 minutes, he's told that prepaid calling cards can't be traced. At this point, both cops are frustrated because they keep meeting dead end after dead end. They both keep trying, calling AT&T, other agencies looking for a lead. Hell, Detective Flattery up in West Bridgewater now is talking to this lady named Michelle from AT&T more than he talked to his own wife trying to get a lead on this situation. But then one day, Michelle from AT&T calls Victor Flattery back and tells him, look, since 9/11, even though we don't want the public to know, prepaid calls are now traceable. And she tells him the origins of the calls are coming from Panama, Florida. Panama City, Florida. Wretched ass Florida, girl. Wretched ass Florida. Why y'all always got some shit going on down round to the Florida? Detective Stump in Mount Washington now knows the calls too are coming from Panama City, Florida as well. Bingo, they have a location. Unfortunately, they're from payphones. Detective Flattery calls Panama City and talk with the police there and find out that they too have received a lot of calls about this hoax caller making calls to different businesses throughout the United States, fronting as a police officer. So this is now a known thing. The hoax caller practice child. He didn't always be able to make them do what you saw happen in West Bridgewater and Mount Washington. He wasn't always able. Some people hung up in his damn face. But practice make perfect. To the point he got to doing this so much it was almost like a drug to him. And he did it a lot. Ain't nobody safe, bitch. Ain't nobody safe from a possible call from this imposter. Neither detective was giving up, regardless of the dead end. The next step was to find out where the calling cards were purchased. For Detective Flattery, it was February the 19th at a Walmart in Panama City. He went through several people to finally find a person who could provide video footage. He excited, he get the footage, but when he sits down to view this footage, not only is it bad quality, but it's like that scan. It's in several locations. It may be in the toy department, then it'll go to the jewelry department. Nothing definitive, right? And none of the footage at that time came from by the registers because they did not have cameras at the register at that time. So it's nothing to truly help verify who purchased those calling cards. We reach yet another dead end. At this point, Detective Stump calls Detective Flattery. They realized they both had the same drive to find this person, so they decided, shit, let's work together. Flattery calls the AT&T Connect again and tells her about the Mount Washington situation. And through that, they're able to find out that that calling card was purchased in Panama City as well. But boom, it was a different Walmart. It's a different Walmart. So he calls the Walmart to find out first, do y'all even have cameras by your register? Boom, y'all. They do. So they pulled the tapes, and because he knew the time and date, he sees the suspect at the damn register purchasing the calling card. But see, the camera only gave you like the top of the person's head and maybe a small side view. So he's got an idea. So he takes that video and then goes back to the original video where it definitely shows people entering and exiting the building, and he's able to find a composite of this person buying these calling cards. He calls Detective Stump and tells him, we got a picture. We got a composite picture of the damn suspect, and they excited. Child, they feel like they got somewhere. As Detective Flattery is going through the footage, really looking at it again, looking at both film because it takes two different footage, different Walmarts to put together who this person is. They notice that he has a braid on the side of his pants that is indicative of a police officer. So now, not only have they found out who the person, description of the person, they also believe that he is a cop. What a shocker. And that was episode 1. Episode 2, I know we going on field trips today, y'all. I know we going on field trips. Before I go into episode 2, is there any questions? If you have any question, if you lost anywhere in the review, let me know and I'll answer your questions for you right quickly before we move on to the next episode. This is the only way I knew how to do this. I had to pull old school out, and this how I used to do it, girl. I had to break the story down for you, tell you what had happened. So is there anybody that is confused as to where we at in this situation? Happy holidays, Ty Pope, and tell Willie and Tisha I said Merry Christmas as well. Hey, all right. Hey, Miss Oasis girl. Hey, Google Bonnies. Thank you, Miss Jean. I try. Is there any questions? Anybody confused? Because I don't need you to be confused because this finna really take a turn. So I need to make sure you guys are up to date on what we're talking about. Hey, Mr. Carruthers, happy holidays, and thank you again for being a judge for me last night. Girl, I'm also drinking my coffee, child. I'm trying. All right, since there are no questions, let's move into episode 2 of Don't Pick Up the Damn Phone or whatever the hell this shit called, child. Hey, Gigabunny, honey. Hey there. Happy holidays, Miss B Town. Happy holidays, boo. Now, like I said, I know I've been taking y'all on a field trip, child. We done been to Massachusetts and shit. We done been to Mount Washington, Kentucky. But I need y'all to go with me again. Get your purse, get your wallets. Let's go. We're going to Statesboro, Georgia. And it has happened yet again. We meet Deborah, a female employee who is called into the office. See, she worked down at the Taco Bell. The imposter has called the Taco Bell and made claims yet again. Now, let me give you a little backstory on Deborah because this was quite sad. This young girl and her twin Daniel moved to Statesboro for college, right? They moved into a small trailer and to make ends meet, each one of them had a job. She was excited. She was 19 years old working at Taco Bell. And one Monday night in the month of November, she was working a double shift when her manager calls her into the office because a cop, the imposter, was on the phone. And apparently a purse was stolen from the lobby. And she fit this generic description of the person who had taken it. She is shocked because that is just simply not something she would do. The cop says that she has two options. You can either allow a cop to come and do a search or allow her manager to do a search. She didn't quite know what a strip search entailed. I don't know where the fuck these 19-year-olds and 16-year-olds and 18, girl, I don't know I guess it was a simpler time. Keep going on, Lady Nika. But I got a question. Do you want to fight after watching this? I don't want to fight. We'll get there, Didi. We'll get there. I'll tell you exactly where I'm at. But I wouldn't say I want to fight. Girl, tomorrow, Christmas. So she thinks, this ain't something I do. So after she's given the options, she don't really know a lot about it. She agreed to allow the manager to do the strip search. Each item, the manager reads off the now taking her bra off, reading the tag to the person on the phone, the imposter, taking her panties off, reading the tag from, I guess, the tags that be on your clothes. He was actually making this man read this shit off to him. What the fuck her tags got anything to do? Girl, I don't know. But according to her, the imposter cop sounded really calm and had her do exercises so she could sweat. Because, see, if she sweat and you rub her skin, you can see if she got any green residue. Y'all, that's the part that was sad. So this girl is in here butt booty naked, and y'all got her doing exercises to the point where she is sweating. Because see, if she sweat and you rub her skin, you can see if they have a green residue, and that'll let you know if she stole the damn money. God damn. This supposed to make any money that you have hidden on your body be visible. The manager rubbed all over this girl's body, all of her cavities, and I have to say it that way because of YouTube. One moment, please. That part kind of did something to me. So let me get through it. Every one of her cavities was checked. She's scared. She feel violated. Hold on. She's scared. She feels violated. When she goes home that evening, she tells her brother what had happened, and he automatically knew that that was bullshit. Now, back at the restaurant, before she goes home and tell her brother, the manager got frustrated with the imposter cop after doing all that he had instructed him to do. So the manager tells him, fuck you. He hung up, threw her clothes to her, and just basically he walked out. But y'all, that was after this call has lasted for hours. It has been hours that this girl has had to endure this, only for the manager to get frustrated after hours, tell the damn cop he ain't, fuck you, hang up, threw her clothes at her, and simply walked out. It was days later before this girl realized that there wasn't no cop on the phone and no one had ever accused her of anything. This traumatized her to the point where she ended up quitting her job, dropping out of school, losing her scholarship, and she shut down emotionally. She wouldn't even talk about it. And her brother, Daniel, her twin brother, said he felt guilty because he couldn't do more. But what could he really do? All these calls trace back to Panama City, Florida, case after case. After months of calls and video footage, they got a clear picture. Detective Flattery goes to Panama City, Florida, and he goes to each one of these sites of these where these payphones are. And one of them was actually all these places. Later on you will find that the person who gets blamed for this, he frequents all of these places, he's familiar with them. But these places ain't got payphones off away from the business. Some of these payphones is right by the front door where people can walk in and out. And like he spent hours at these payphones calling in to these places. Some of the calls all came in on the same night, which would mean he spent hours at these payphones doing these hoax calls and traumatizing people. He was deemed a sexual predator who got off on power. Detective Flattery meets up with detectives in Panama City, Florida, the police department, and they go through the videos and the pictures. Not one of them recognized him as being a cop. So Flattery asked, well, why is he wearing those pants with that braid? And they informed him that police officer, that's not a police officer uniform. That is a corrections officer's uniform. And that was surprising. Now comes the identification process. Now let's go back to Mount Washington for a moment, everybody. While working on other cases, Detective Stump wants some justice for Louise. He can't let this go. So in comes what happens with Donna Summers and Walter Nix. The community is blaming them for allowing it to happen. Walter Nick pleads guilty to sex crimes and has to register as an offender and serve 5 years in prison. So they locked his ass up and sent him on his way. Miss Summers was held accountable for listening to someone make her do what they did to Louise. But see, she enters a plea under the Alford plea. Now, if y'all been keeping up, the Alford plea is basically how Gunna got, what Gunna did. That is where there's enough evidence to convict you, but you still maintain your innocence under the eyes of the law. She pled guilty to a misdemeanor and got a year probation. But her trauma didn't stop there either for what she had done. She still had to be held accountable. So although she pled guilty to a misdemeanor and got a year's probation, she got fired by McDonald's. Her face was on the local news a lot. So they basically ruined her that way. Whereas Walter ended up going to prison for 5 years. Okay. I feel no sympathy for Donna or Walt. They allowed a person to call them and have them commit a crime on tape. How stupid can you be? Now, while we talking, I find it funny that all these calls, all these cameras and things, and nobody had footage of the lobby area where these offenses of theft supposedly took place. That shit don't make sense to me. Come on, y'all. Think about it. When you go into these establishments, they do have cameras that is in the lobby area. When you go in, if you've ever been a manager, and I have been, when you go in there, you can see the front part of the store. It shows you the back area of the store. And some places even have the parking lot. So I know that this is pre cell phones becoming a popular thing, and I know that this is when pay phones was popular. But camera surveillance footage ain't did that much, no more than just got better surveillance. But most companies, especially franchises like these, do have camera systems to where why didn't they go watch the footage from what supposedly happened in the store? You can go back and watch the whole day or what went on in the front of that store. And that to me should have been the way they were able to determine if a theft ever occurred, if we gonna go there. Or better yet, why since when does the police call you on a serious matter like this and instruct you to do all this shit? They gonna come to the store. If they need to talk to the employee, they're gonna call them back to the back, and if a risk gonna be made, you gonna be seeing folks walk out with their handcuffs on. I ain't never seen nobody take a phone call and believe them because they sound good, and basically you commit a crime. I just don't get it. You were committing a crime, fucking up your life for somebody else seek gratification, girl. Now in this film, they did give a theory as to why people would allow someone to make them do something they know is wrong. And it goes under the Milgram's theory. That's what they call it. It basically says that under the right circumstances, I need you to understand this, even though I'm not subscribing to this, fuck this. But I'm gonna tell the story. Under the Milgram's theory, basically, under the right circumstances, anybody, any of us, is capable of doing some very disturbing and uncharacteristic things. That's what they said. Child, I didn't say the shit. I'm just telling you what the people said. Why didn't when this start, the franchise didn't send a mass? We gonna get there. Kingsman, you taking me too fast. You taking me too fast, girl. You taking me too fast. We going there. Just go with me. Go with me. But that is a very valid question, and I got an answer for you. Okay, I do. I got an answer for you, girl. I do. You know I got an answer for you. So there is the psychological reasons why a person may do what Walter, Donna, the Taco Bell person, all these the Wendy's person, the girl. That's why it's called the Milgram's theory. If you want to go and do more further research into that, feel free. But I just gave you a basic breakdown of what the people said. I didn't say the shit the people said. It. Let's move on. It's 2003. And I need you all to go with me on another field trip. We're going again. We're going to Rapid City, South Dakota. Okay, we're going to Rapid City, South Dakota. And see this story right here, I'm going to tell you the story, then I'm going to tell you how I feel about this shit. Because fuck this shit too. Okay? Yes, Miss Jill, this is on Netflix. In Rapid City, South Dakota in 2003, we meet Alan. Who says in a matter of hours he went from doing something right to facing life imprisonment. He took a call he believed was the police, and he believed he was helping someone get out of a situation she was being accused of. A lawyer, hired by his family, goes to the jail to meet with him. I know I'm doing it a little different. Follow me. Y'all gonna catch it. He tells him about a call that happened. What he believed was a cop and doing terrible things per the imposter cop instructions. Allen was charged with serious offenses, including rape and kidnapping. Allen didn't fit any profile of a rapist or a kidnapper. He accepted Allen's case and agreed to take it all away if he had to. Now, what did he have to take? What is the case? Let's talk about it. Allen worked at Hardee's. Allen at that time was in his early 50s and he worked as an assistant manager. He was still new and learning the ropes when a call came in from an imposter saying that he worked for the Rapid City Police Department and had received a complaint that one of his employees had stolen money from a customer. Allen was shocked. Same options were given: be taken to the station or submit to a strip search by him at the Hardee's. The female employee agreed to the strip search at Hardee's. The imposter began giving instructions, basically having her remove her clothes, check to see if cash was stashed anywhere. The young lady speaks with the imposter 13 times, and she's hearing these instructions. He had her doing jumping jacks and things of that nature. That call was 2.5 to 3 hours long. Allen said that he sounded very precise and very demanding. He felt he had no choice. He found no money, so he's thinking it should be over. But no, the imposter wants her checked for drugs. Now, what the fuck? Once again, just like in the case of Louise at the McDonald's, you done humiliated this woman and committed a crime. Now you moved the goalposts. It done went from we checking for money to now in Louise's case they was checking for alcohol, which is why she had to kiss that old ass man in the mouth. And now here he is with another old geezer, and this girl he wants her to be checked for drugs. To me, at that point, if no other moment, a 50-plus-year-old should have known beyond a shadow of a doubt that this was not a real police officer. But no, he allowed the imposter to make him do more. At this point, another assistant, because see, Allen was about to get off. The other assistant came in. Allen did realize at that point what he had done. Fuck that. This little piece, this segment was thrown in to try to make you pull at your heartstrings. Why does it take another individual to come in and stop you from doing what you're doing before you realize what you had done? He was so perplexed, he just left and went home. And he felt remorse and then at home he was questioning what the hell he had done. Fuck out of here. You at home trying to figure out what had happened, what you just did. He walked to he decides that he gonna get up the next morning, he gonna go to work. When he went to work, two detectives met him there and arrested him on 3 felonies, two kidnapping and one second degree rape. He said he couldn't believe what had happened. Again, there was video footage of the whole ordeal. When it started, the young lady asked that the camera be covered, but Allen said no. He didn't want to hide the events in that room. According to Allen's lawyer, no criminal would want documentation of a crime being committed. I call bullshit. Excuse me, do we not see? Let me calm down. Do we not see crimes being committed on Facebook Live, IG, the TikTok, all them social media sites? We have seen crimes being committed. Girl, I'm biased as fuck, okay? I'm biased. Fuck Allen. Allen got out because he got the complexion for the protection. And his family had a coin to pay for what he needed in order for him to get out of that situation because he damn sure was found not guilty at trial. And the only thing this man has suffered, and he tried to get emotional. Some friends I had longtime friends. As a result of this, we're no longer friends. He said a dark cloud would be over his head for the rest of his life. However many more years God gonna give him, because he's an old geezer now. Girl, it made me mad. Just like in the case of Donna Summers, 51 years old. If you 51, your goddamn fiance Walter was around your age range. Um, I understand the Mel Graham theory, but I call bullshit, y'all. This geezer here got off because he got the complexion for the protection and a coin behind it. But let me continue because I'm about to go off into a tangent and I'm almost through. I'm almost through. We got follow me if you will. Let's go back to Panama City, Florida. Because now it is known that is a correction officer. And they have narrowed it down to two to three jails in the area. And Flattery is going to go to the one that is closest and work from there. So he goes to the first one, right? We see him go to the first one. He go in the warden's office, pull out the laptop, show the pictures. Nobody knows who this person is. Hold on, y'all. Nobody knows who this individual is. So we go to the second facility, repeat the same routine done at the first one. They was at the Bay City Correctional Facility. The warden and the person who is over security comes in and they look at the pictures and immediately they recognize the individual as, hold on 1 minute. Okay, I'm sorry about that, child. Sometimes these people just don't know how to stop. But anyway, they recognized the individual as David Stewart. Now they had a name to the face. And not only does David work there, but he was there when the officer, Detective Flattery, got there to talk to the warden. We got him, y'all. We got him. Don't get excited. Don't get excited, bitch. Don't get excited. They go get this David Stewart, and it was indeed him. Flattery asked him, "Why do you think you were called to come in to speak to me?" Stewart said he didn't know. He also, seemed nervous, sort of a dead giveaway of his guilt. Flattery tells him that they know that he made hoax calls to Massachusetts and other states. And at this point, David Stewart starts to sweat and shake. He asked, was anybody hurt? And after that, the man basically said, thank God, because the man said the interrogation was over. He denied buying the cards or making a call, and despite flattery saying they have him on video buying the cards, he pleads the fifth at that point. And I'm gonna tell y'all, that's where this is why this man is still free. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'm just telling you. Remember, we're gonna come back to this. Flattery needed more evidence to back uh so back to the Panama City Police Department, he goes to try to secure a warrant for the man's home. They get a warrant for the man's home. They go out there to his house. He live in Fountain, Florida. Okay. They find a lot of police brochures. They find applications to several police departments. They find a diary where they learned that he was at some point a part-time police officer at some county or local department. He keeps notes. He seemed obsessed with being a police officer, but there was no smoking gun found. Okay. Then they found a calling card. So now Flattery has to convince the DA to press some form of charges. The DA felt like it was too hard to charge him with a sex crime because technically, he wasn't there. So he can't get them to do it. So Flattery calls Stump and says that they don't have enough to charge him. And that was shocking to Stump. Stump wasn't having the shit. He meets up with a judge, a DA, and secures a warrant for David Stewart because they could not risk him skipping out after it took months to locate him. Stump packs a bag and heads to Panama City, Florida. And that brings us to the end of episode 2. Are there any questions before we get into the final episode of this show? Any questions? Happy holidays to everybody that came in that I hadn't originally spoken to. Is there any questions? Are you lost anywhere? Because I need y'all to follow me, honey. I don't need nobody lost. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Do you got a question? Do I need to go back and explain something? Do y'all get it? Okay. I have to text. Child is getting on my nerve. Is there any questions? Are y'all with me? Hey there, Auntie. How you doing? Happy holidays. Okay, everybody got it? Y'all following me? Yeah, it's a mess. You picking up what I'm laying down? All right, then. All right. All right. It seems like everybody got it. Let's continue. Please remember that interrogation at this prison, okay? Because we're going to come back to that. Detective Stumps takes a 10-hour drive. It's 10 hours from Florida back to Kentucky. He got David Stewart in the back seat. That caused all this havoc for over 10 years now. On the ride, they did a little general talk, and he seemed like an average guy. Flattery said David wasn't what he expected either. This man was married with 5 kids, not the lone wolf they had expected him to be. Stump said that he think David wanted to be a police officer. He was obsessed with having power over people in an authoritative figure. Okay. They make it to Kentucky. They lock his ass up. He's charged with solicitation of sodomy, although he wasn't in the room with Louise. But if he brought the car and made the calls, that alone is solicitation. He was also charged with impersonating a peace officer. Is everybody with me on what we got? Hey, Nina, happy holiday. Cheers. Stump was satisfied. He was behind bars and could hurt no one else. Flattery was as well. Stewart was able to secure a big dog offense attorney by the name of Stephen Romaines. And Romaine said that this was a bizarre case, one that he has never seen in 30 years. David's brother called him and asked him to take the case. David's brother is a police officer. Stephen Romaine thought it was a joke at first. David Bell was set at a $500,000 initially, but David was never charged with a crime ever in his life, so that seemed excessive. This man never even had a traffic violation. They didn't want him to flee, is why the judge made the bail so high, but they were able. Stephen Romaines and his crew was able to get that bail reduced down to $100,000, and David made bail and went back to Florida. That's when we meet Xavier LaVea. Who is he? He is the host of a podcast called Pretend. He said at first he was surprised that this was even a thing, but then he did some research and found out there were hundreds of calls made like this in more than 32 states, and it went on for more than 10 years. Louise's case caught Xavier's attention. Many victims knew Many victims did not know the dangers of hoax calling. Xavier felt someone had to be held accountable. We go back to Deborah. Remember Deborah, the one from the Taco Bell? She said although the manager at the Taco Bell she worked for lost his job, no charges was ever filed, and she had no idea that others had endured what she had went through. So she decided to sue the franchise and the manager eventually. She warned she was warned her character was going to, basically be brought into the lawsuit. They even attempted to try to get notes from her therapy sessions to bring into court. They tried to keep her from testifying because without her testimony, there was no case. The judge and the attorney tried to blame her, and the case was eventually thrown out in part because Deborah would not testify or couldn't answer questions they asked her. She didn't want to relive what she had endured in that office in a room full of strangers. The judge even told this woman something, and I wrote it down because I want to share it with you guys. The judge said, and I quote, these are word for word: courts should not be used to propagate a culture of victimology entitlement that degrades the sense of an individual responsibility and hard work on which this great nation was founded. The best lessons learned are usually the most expensive. At tremendous expense of the plaintiff, hopefully, will have learned. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Shit. Y'all know it's the holidays. Family get the calling. Okay, so let me redo that quote again. Merry Christmas, Shay Beezy, and girl, we fighting after the holidays. Y'all had me do this, and oh, the judge said, and I quote, courts should not be used to propagate a culture of victimology and entitlement that degrades the sense of individual responsibility and hard work on which this great nation was founded. The best lessons are usually the most expensive. At tremendous expense, plaintiff hopefully will have learned to think for herself. He blamed her. The judge blamed this woman and said he hoped she learned a lesson. Let this sink in. Later, she learned it was a prison guard, and that's all she ever knew about it. All she could say was it was a flawed system. So let's go to 2007, Mount Washington. Louise decides to go after McDonald's. See, y'all ain't fit to play me. Y'all done already played Deborah. Y'all ain't fit to play me. She went and got her one of the best attorneys that really they say in that area. She wanted an apology. Basically, was all the girl really wanted. So since McDonald's was acting like they didn't want to do that, she hires an attorney and sues McDonald's for $200 million. The lady name was Ann Oldface, and she put on an excellent case. Child, during that trial, it was found that um, one of the investigators from McDonald's was charged with intimidation. They tried to pin it on everyone except themselves. It was found that McDonald's knew of those. And here's the question that you asked me earlier. McDonald's knew about these hoax calls for years, had actually settled out of court with several people. They did nothing. They never sent a memo or email, no training, nada. McDonald's did nothing to warn their employees about hoax calling, even though they were aware of it for years. They confirmed in court because they had no choice that they had settled cases concerning hoax like these, but said that's all they had done. Old Face wasn't playing, and she got an emergency meeting together with the courts, and the judge ordered McDonald's to turn over all their files in cases including involving hoax calling. McDonald's waited until 48 hours before the trial to deliver boxes upon boxes full of information with no time for them to review it. They even tried to say Louise was in on the hoax. Even you remember the man, the custodian that came in, took the phone and told Donna, girl, this is not a police officer. They convinced him, probably paid him off, to come on to the damn stand and try to make it seem like Louise was in on this the whole time trying to get money. Child, Louise took the stand. See, she was stronger than Deborah. She took the stand. And they played that video footage and she recanted what she went through and how she felt. McDonald attorney really tried to make her look bad, despite the fact they knew about the hoax calling and did nothing for years to warn their employees. It was a lot of cases that they kept on hush. The jury came back with a decision. After the trial, Louise won her suit. She was awarded more than $6 million in that case. Stunt was satisfied and said McDonald's had a responsibility and failed them and could have, all of this could have been avoided had they just did proper protocol and put out information to their employees about this. But they chose to keep quiet. It was a relief to Elizabeth and Deborah to know that they wasn't alone, and they still felt the caller should pay. So the criminal trial for David Stewart started. The father of 5, married, seemed to be a good guy. Stump feels that he has a good case. Flattery felt he had a good case. Romaines came in and did his job. Some calls David had an alibi. The wife was like, shit, we on a set time around here. Some of these calls he couldn't have made because he was in charge of the kids. Now, for the defense, they was basically saying, hey, for the prosecution, they saying, hey, but he was off each time one of these calls were made. Romaine explained away every one of their theories. Although they were good theories, he was able to put a hole in them, even down to when they went to the jail. This is the part about the jail, or to the prison, to meet with this man for the first time when they discovered who he was and where he was working at. When that man said, thank God it was over, he wasn't saying thank God it was over because he was found and it would end. He was saying that because he felt like he was being interrogated. And when Flattery said, we're done for now, he was saying, see how they built that shit up? He was saying, thank God that the conversation, the interrogation was over. It was not a partial confession. Romaine did his job, and the case against David came back not guilty. The jury only deliberated for 2 hours and found David Stewart not guilty. Stump was amazed. Flattery was numb. People were stunned all around, but it was just not enough to prove David Stewart guilt. And since 2004, those calls have stopped. Nothing has happened since 2007. I'm sorry. So we're not certain that, it won't ever happen again. But for right now, that person has gone silent. And I really feel like they did actually find. Now, here's my part of what I thought. I feel like they actually found the person. But because of the overzealousness of Detective Flattery in the initial meeting, instead of having a meeting with him, once you knew that he was who this individual was, you knew where he worked at, you knew where he lived at. Instead of having a conversation with him and alerting him, you should have put a tail on him. I don't see why they couldn't have done that. Why go and have a conversation with him so that he would have time to dot the I's, cross the T's, and let his family who is in law enforcement know anything about it? Why not just put a tail on him and catch him in the act? Because clearly he was still in the midst of doing these things when you found out who he was. I feel like, in my honest opinion, Flattery fucked up when he had that conversation with him at the place of employment for him. You let him know that something was going on, and that's the reason why his family was able to get that high price ass attorney, and that attorney came in and did what he did. Now, what do I think about the overall situation? I'm not understanding. I understand, and I actually did research the Milgram theory, but I'm telling y'all, still, common sense is the best sense, and it's something that I guess it's not so common all the time. But you can't call me and convince me to commit a crime against somebody else. No police works like that. They're not going to call you and have you doing their damn job. And in each one of these cases, it's like that these folks wanted to, even though you may have a high level of respect for police, since when did we start just letting folks call us? We don't know who on the other end, and they talk us into doing some of the most heinous criminal acts known to mankind to these young folk. It makes no sense to me. It totally throws me off how somebody could call. I mean, damn, if that was the case, we would fall victim to telemarketers every day. They always calling trying to get you caught up in some shit. So I think that this was sad. And even if I take myself back to that time period, I don't think I would have been as gullible enough to just take the word of a person. You would have had to come down to the store. I wouldn't have did a damn thing. You come down here and commit a crime. I ain't doing a damn thing. It's on you to decide what you want to do with this person if you feel like they've done something. I feel like these managers did not use common sense. I feel like these managers just they failed each and every one of these employees and themselves, because not only some of them didn't go to jail, but their lives are forever altered by what happened, and everybody lost their job. It makes no sense. And it was only because I watched this movie that I ever even know something like this would even happen. I don't think anybody can call me and get me that riled up like that. And this man could have very well been in prison right now had the police department not been so overzealous and moved too quickly. You have to do it. I think they learned that in the academy training, that you gotta work it. Sometimes you gotta work it slow to get the right results. You had already been 4 months of tracing this man down. You mean to tell me you couldn't took an additional amount of time to track him? I'm just over it. I cannot believe something like that happened. I cannot believe that people believed it. I can't get mad at the people who were doing it, because if you scared and you have a respect for the law, and you think you might go to jail, and you know you ain't did nothing wrong, you probably would have went through some of that stuff. But some of that, at some point, everybody should have known that this is bullshit. I just think I cannot understand how you thought that that was okay. I don't understand how the victims didn't feel some kind of way. I don't know how the managers didn't feel some kind of way. I'm not expecting the person on the end of that call to have any compassion because they call with malicious intent. They call to get off on having a sense of control over people to make them do that. And I know that they came up with a psychological reason why one would do that. I don't think that I would be ever be one of those said persons. I just don't. You're not going to make me commit a crime on camera. You're not going to make me violate somebody like that. And then the goalpost moving. We start off, it's about theft. In two cases, they moved the goalpost. It went from being about theft to checking her for alcohol. Another case, the hardest case, it went from being about theft to checking her for drugs. Are you fucking kidding me? At some point, you have to use your common sense. And I know that common sense is not so common, but girl, y'all pay the price for this. Y'all pay the price for lacking in common sense. And this was definitely different. This was different. I never thought in a million years the lawyer even knew he was guilty, but they didn't have the evidence together. Exactly. And it was all because instead of trying letting this man know that you own to him, Shay Beasley, they should have put a trail on that man and caught him in the act. He was still currently doing the shit. Why did you ever go and let him know what you know? What you did was underestimate him. You knew you wasn't fooling with no dummy when you went into his home. Even before you went into his home, you knew you weren't fooling with no dummy. Look at how methodical he was in his acts. I just don't know. But this was definitely, yeah, after everything the call stopped, further proving. But see, a person like that, don't ever think that that shit can't start again. I always believe that there, just like he had the wherewithal to do it once, he'll do it again. But that was it. That was the end of my review for Don't Pick Up the Phone. I know it was a bit extensive, but I had to break this shit down, child. He was very overzealous, very, very, very. He did way too much the bushes. But this was my review for Pick Up the Phone. I'm gonna get on up off of here now. I hope you all enjoyed the review. I hope I was able to break it down because I bet this was a very full review. In order for me to tell the story, I didn't know no other way to do it. So I hope you all enjoyed this. At this time, would you please drop the purple hearts? Because I'm finna get up out of here. I gotta go cook and stuff like that. So I want to thank you all so much for watching today. I appreciate the people who told me about this. I wanted to fight you, June G, and Duchess Kelly Love. As I was watching this, Shay Beats, I wanted to fight y'all. I had said I was gonna block all three of y'all asses, but I'm over it now. I ain't mad no more. Girl, that was a lot, honey. Oh, y'all put me to work right before the holidays, but this was fun. This was fun. After I got through going through the emotions, I got over it, girl. I got over it. So you guys have a beautiful holiday. I hope you all get all the love, joy, and happiness your little hearts can handle. And I will try my best, Miss Jean, to be here tomorrow to spend a little time with you guys. It was interesting, Shay Bees. I can't even get mad at you about that. This might be one of my best ones, because these kind of reviews they have a little shelf life. So we'll see what it's gonna do. But if it don't do shit but what it does today, I'm grateful for having the opportunity to come and holler at y'all on a Saturday, girl. Happy holidays to you all, and I will try to come tomorrow. I just found out I got family coming in from out of town, so I'm gonna try to do my video early in the morning to spend some time with y'all. But if I don't get here before in the morning, Merry Christmas to each and every one of you, and I hope you have a beautiful day. I'm gone, y'all. Bye.